Okay, it's recording now that it's raining.
Hi, I'm Brandy. Welcome to our channel, Sewing Back, and I wanted to do our end of spring garden tour. So this is our new garden that we built this year. We still have our other garden from last year that we built. This is all raised beds and some containers, and it's not 100% done, but it's pretty done for what it's going to be right now. So come on in. So the first thing you'll notice is you'll see that we used our cinder blocks. We used to have these cinder blocks in our front raised bed gardens that we had for years because we had no sunlight except up in the front in the summertime. And so we had raised beds made out of these cinder blocks for about, I want to say it was about 7 years. And I followed the square foot gardening method, and we planted and fought deer. Was our biggest pest. They've been our biggest pest all the years we've gardened. Except for this year, so far we're doing okay because we have a big tall fence here in the back. We took those out, so once we got all this land and we got the trees cleared, this was more of an ideal place to have a garden because this garden will work year round. If we do some row covers and stuff, we can actually grow in the late fall to winter and even earlier in the spring because this gets full sun. It gets the morning sun. The sun comes up right here, and even as the seasons change, this part gets plenty of sun, which is why we have our greenhouse back here. And so we took out those other beds last year. We actually did an in-ground garden up there because we still didn't have all of the land in our possession. We didn't have everything cleared out yet, and we tried a no-till method, and it did okay. We had some massive dent corn that grew, but we did battle the deer up there, even with fencing. Back here, I really feel like the reason we have done okay without the deer and trying to get in here is because this is part of our backyard and we have dogs. And we did do a taller fence. We took down the old chain link fence and we did how tall is that, John?
6 foot.
Yeah, it's a 6-foot fence, but it's on a slope, and on part of it has a ravine, so that it would be hard for them to clear it. And so far, we have not had an issue, and I pray we don't. So anyway, we took our cinder blocks. My big boys came over, my adult children, and my teenager, and they took a lot of our old compost. They put the cinder blocks together. They amended the soil with my compost. And this one, I knew all along I wanted it to be a sweet potato bed. And it is, other than it does have some corn. It has some yarrow I actually planted, and because yarrow is supposed to be good companion plant for sweet potatoes. And I definitely have volunteer sunflowers coming up. There was some oregano somewhere in here, but I think the sweet potato vines have taken over. In this bed, we have our indeterminate tomatoes, and most of these are heirloom. There's a couple hybrids, and honestly, the hybrids didn't do so well. They did really well for us last year, the big brandies and big beef, and not so much this year. Actually, it's been more the heirlooms. And so this one is facing, I always get this backwards. Is this one the north to south? I don't know. One of them is the north. I don't know what that means. One of them is north to south, and we have another bed right here. It has all the same tomato plants with the exception of one, and this one is east to west. And early on, this one actually took off more, which is what I read, that if your plants are taller, that they do well on facing that way. But now these are actually looking pretty good.
Which ones?
The tomatoes over here in the wooden bed, and we've trellised them differently. John did this trellis over here, and it seems like this bed over here doesn't look like it's having as much issue with some blight. And that's thunder, but that's okay. I'm gonna go really quick. We have zucchinis here, not doing so well. They're beautiful, but they're not really producing well. Then these are my bell peppers over here. I have some dill. That one's flowering, but I have some more dill down here. I have other volunteer sunflowers. If this one will ever bloom, I've been waiting for a month. We have, I can't believe I forgot what that's called. I grew it from seed. It's for chickens. Well, it's also for gluten-free eating, and I can't think of.
The red thing?
Yes, and I forgot what it is.
How about red thing?
It's not the red thing. It'll come to me at 3 in the morning. Anyway, over here in these beds, I have all cucumbers back here, and there's a couple different varieties in this one. These were given to me by my friend Jessica. So these are, I'm pretty sure these are pickling cucumbers. Some of these are Armenian cucumbers, and
Armenian?
That's what they're called.
I thought we only like the reformed cucumbers.
Okay, haha. And then I can't remember what the other's a different variety. And then those down there are all pickling cucumbers, and I planted those from seeds. So these were transplants, those were seeds, and so these have been in longer, and they're starting to trellis up or come out off the ground. And then on this side, be careful, there's stuff. Oh, well, over here, this bed, this is how not to over fertilize a bed or to plant too many nitrogen loving plants. I had read it's great to companion plant tomatoes with beans, and these are an M.I. Gardner Valentine black bean, and I also have some pie pumpkins in this bed on this side. And so I planted all this together in this bed, and I got a lot of leaf curl. I pruned the tomato kind of heavy at the bottom, but I have tomatoes growing on here, but it has awful leaf curl. And we were doing a tea compost, and so I had read, you know, if you have severe leaf curl, you really just want to try to get your fruit. So I kind of heavily composted with the tea compost the other night, more than I would have normally. And now my plants, these were perfect looking. Now they look kind of burnt up. So that was on me. So over here, these two beds are for corn. They're going to be a succession plant. We haven't planted those yet. We have got these two. John got those planted with some sweet corn. Serendipity? I think it's called Serendipity. And so in the middle section of these beds are zipper peas. And these up here are more pie pumpkins. And these have done so well for me. I had such a hard time last year with pumpkins, but this year I'm hoping I might actually get some. And these down here are, it's called an Israeli melon. And it was a seed pack I had, and I thought, what the heck? I have no idea. I've never had one, don't know what it tastes like, but wanted to give it a try. Over here are some more of our figs. And I have a eucalyptus plant over here I got. And this thing right here is part of our old sleep number bed, and it's actually going to become a cosmos flower bed, and I just have to go get the soil. So it just has been so hot, so I'm hoping maybe in the next week or so I can get that and get my cosmos planted, because I'd really like them to be in pretty bloom in September, maybe into August, September. Then over here we have our arch, and on both sides of my arch I have planted my Kentucky Wonder Beans. I seed saved these from last year and planted them. They're starting to run up. One of the great things about pole beans, runner beans, are once you get them planted and going, they will produce until frost. So you just keep, as long as you keep picking them, they'll keep going and producing, and so they're a great one to put in. So I have those there. In the middle of this one I have a Sangria seedless watermelon, plus I have a pollinator, which is a seeded watermelon, and I can't remember, it's not the Charleston Gray, but I don't remember which one that is. When you buy from Haas Seeds their seedless watermelons, they give you a pollinator in their packs. And then the tomatoes I have on this side are Cherokee Purple and Mortgage Lifters. They're some of my favorites, and they're doing really well back here. And then I have some basil, marigolds. I have nasturtiums on the other end. Those are good companion plants. And then on this side, lost my footing. So on this side, I have cantaloupes. And I can't remember what the variety was that I planted. It's the same beans, but I have cantaloupes this side. And then these tomatoes in the front were all suckers. And that I rooted and stuck them in, and they're actually doing pretty good, but that's why they're significant. Well, this one's not as small, but the other ones are a little bit smaller than our other tomatoes. And again, what I did up here is I planted zinnias, and on this side I did calendula, and haven't had as much luck. I have a few little things coming up. So I don't know if that would have been one that was better not to direct sow. I also had planted leeks on the sides, and they didn't make it. But look at these beautiful, these are so pretty. We've got lots of tomatoes.
Onions.
And I have onions, Walla onions. I interplanted in all of my tomatoes because they're supposed to be a great, and in the cinder blocks. And because they're supposed to be a great companion plant with your tomatoes to keep from getting pests. And I think it's worked pretty well so far. This is evening primrose. I love this, it smells so good at night. And then we have some blackberries, we have some other hot pepper plants, a cherry bush. I don't know what kind of tomatoes those are, I just stuck them in a bucket. We have our pretty flowers. These are Juliet tomatoes, and my candy roasters, which were seed saved, I have in both beds. Some sunflowers, and these are rattlesnake green beans that I also seed saved, and they'll come up the trellis as well. And back on the other side, we have potatoes in all of our buckets, and they're starting to die back because it's almost time to harvest those. So this is a look at our garden, our spring garden, and what we've been doing. And I appreciate you checking it out. And we'll see how it goes this summer. Hopefully the heat won't kill all of our plants. And now it's starting to rain and it feels really good. So we're going to go inside. Until next time.
Go ahead.
All right, well, I decided not to rain yet. I'm still hoping we get some rain tonight. So this is our front garden beds that we built last year. This is my second year of my lemon tree. I mean, not my lemon, my lime tree. It has actually put on quite a bit of growth. We potted it up, and it's much happier in this pot. No fruit this year. I don't know when this one will fruit. I did fertilize it. I didn't know you had to fertilize your citrus plants, and they actually take a good bit of fertilizer. You do it once to twice a year. And I did it with Citrus Tone. It's an organic fertilizer for citrus trees. I did it on the lime tree and also on our lemon tree over here. Our front flowers are doing well. My lantana came back. A lot of my daisies came back. And my dahlias down there, the deer, as well as my black-eyed Susans, they topped them off, ate a lot of them, but they won't eat the lantana. They hate it. And the purple is verbena. It is, it's like a cousin to lantana, and the deer haven't liked that as well. So that's going to be my next one. That I believe the verbena is annual though, not perennial, because the lantana, if you cut it back in about February, it will come back. And I did cut this down to the ground. So it has come back, it's blooming. The bees, I actually had butterflies on it the other day. I saw my first butterflies. They also like the verbena. the verbena, I think, has a little bit more pungent smell, and I did plant in there some zinnias, and the daisies came back from last year. I didn't even know they would do that. So that's kind of what I have going on out here. And my roses were so pretty earlier in the spring. The deer actually did get and eat them. They ate that one, and it has some disease because we were building and I neglected them. We put up this little fence around here though to try to keep the deer off because they actually ate some of my lemons as well. But lemon looks like it's rebounding. We have a lot of lemons this year. We also potted that one up, and it needed to be potted up. Those lemon trees, that's a Myers lemon, they actually can get up to 10 feet tall. And I'm not sure that's gonna fit in our garage this year, so I'm looking into some kind of covering that you can wrap it in during the winter, because honestly it's fine out here unless we go below about 26 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't know what that is Celsius, sorry. So it's cold. For down here, it's cold. So come on in. This is my front garden.
I thought that's what that seed meant.
Cold.
Cold.
So over here this is my second year with this Echinacea plant, and the deer, it was fixing to bloom earlier in the season and the deer ate it down. You can see this piece right here, it was down here. I was so upset. So I moved it was outside and I moved it in, and look, it's just, now I even have more blooms. So I guess it worked out because I'm getting a lot more blooms off this. Echinacea's got a lot of medicinal purposes for it, so it's something great to grow, and it is a huge pollinator friendly plant. The butterflies, the bumblebees, I've even seen a honeybee, and the dragonflies, they really like it. The purple at the bottom is salvia, and then this was a fig that we had that grew. It was in the lemon tree before we potted it, before we transplanted it, and so we put it in here and we really thought it was dead, but it's actually doing well. We're not sure if this might be a child of Louise, our black mission fig, is what we think. This one has a tomato in there, but the mint's pretty much taken over, so don't know that tomato will get any action. And this bed has, back here, these are called Dwarf Okra. I've never grown those before, but I wanted to give it a try because I haven't had great luck growing okra in a bed. And I got this seed up at Ladd's up in Cartersville, and no fruit yet. I don't really know what to make of it. I'm actually going to go ahead in the back garden and try planting just some regular okra that I have, that I seed saved, because I'm just not sure what's going to happen with this. It's been in here for a while. This I started from seed. This is actually a marigold. I forgot the name. I did a couple different marigolds and I forgot the name of it, but this is a marigold and it is fixing to bloom. This is some calendula. Also has lots of medicinal purposes. These are some different tomatoes. These are all determinate in this garden up here. And we've wanted to put determinate ones in here because they're just going to produce for a certain time and then they're going to be done. And they don't tend to get too big. So it was more manageable to put in here and put our indeterminates in the back garden. And look, I got a banana pepper. And yes, I have a toothbrush. I have a toothbrush. And we actually have a video on using the toothbrush to your tomato blossom blooms so you can pollinate them. Now, my grandmother, they didn't have these little Quip toothbrushes, and she always just rattled the tomato cages. And she said that's how she got tomatoes. So if I see a cage, I still rattle it to this day. But if you see, this is a strawberry beds, but if you see those, you just hit it with one of these. This is an old one. And it helps pollinate them. And we actually have a little tomato on that one. Johnny's been pretty diligent about coming out and doing it. Hitting it with the Quip. So this center bed here, I have a lot of my herbs. This is lemon thyme. Bees love this. I have celery, Swiss chard. I have a couple tomato plants. I do have one eggplant. That's my rosemary. This is my pitiful little lavender plant that just, I don't know, didn't do so well here. And the bed next to it, most of that are all different kinds of peppers, the poblanos. I started some of the pitiful looking ones are the ones I started, and I had a really hard time with my pepper starts this year. The others I actually got from my plant guy at the Aqua Farmers Market. And so I'm hoping that these will do well. I actually got some peppers on here, so I'm excited about that. And I have, like I said, a couple tomatoes. This bed had all of my carrots that we just harvested last week, I think it was. And so I have a couple of paste tomatoes in here and a couple dwarf tomatoes, one acorn squash, some basil, and then I just have have a volunteer carrot there and a couple volunteer brassicas, which will probably just peter out. This bed over here, I actually planted, I don't know if you can see them. Can you see? So this is a dwarf sunflower I got from Haw Seeds. I actually planted them in most of the beds in here, but as you can see, they're being overtaken with green beans. These are Contender bush beans, and I think I probably overplanted the beans in here, just a smidgen. So I'm hoping that these will hold on, because these, after a couple pickings, you have to take these out. They won't keep producing like the pole beans. But I also planted here for John. Can you see right there? That is a mini butternut squash. Can you see it?
No, I still don't see it.
It's right here. Can you see my finger?
Yeah.
It's right there. So there's two in this bed, and this plant I think is a little bit healthier than the other one. I don't know. The other one, now look, you've got them here. They're coming out of the bed. So I can't eat these. I'm allergic to them, but he loves them. And so I thought the mini size would be great, you know, because I could fix that just for him when I saw it. And I actually picked those up at Lowe's. This bed, I had both of these beds on the back had sugar snap peas. I just took those out. You can see one little piece is left. And I just planted pinto pole beans. They're actually a tropical bean, and they take about 150 days to mature, which I still have over 200 plus days before our typical frost. So I'm gonna try to actually bring them so that I can have the pinto beans. You can harvest them early and eat them like a green bean. So either way, win-win. And more tomatoes. These are more Cherokee purples. More Cherokee purples. These were leftover strawberries from my strawberry greenstock tower I did over here, and I planted borage. These are borage plants. The bees love borage. It's a very great pollinator to have in here. And that is another, this is going to be another marigold I did. Whenever you plant strawberries, it's always really good to put thyme, a thyme plant in with your strawberries. They enhance strawberry flavor. And there are a couple volunteer carrots that came up in this bed, as well as, I'm not sure what this is, but it keeps coming up in the beds. A weed is just a plant growing where it shouldn't be. These are, one of them, I don't know which is which. One of them is the gold nugget cherry tomatoes, and the other one is the black cherry tomatoes. Now, if you look on, this is also the okra back here. It has done better in this bed. And these are going to be black-eyed Susans. This is the one the deer didn't eat, but as you can see over there, they topped that other one. I also planted, this is a catnip. I did a lot of reading in my horticulture science class, and catnip was recommended to plant with your tomatoes because it actually keeps hornworms. Hornworms hate catnip. So I did mint catnip. I have one plant in each of my tomato beds, and so far we haven't had any hornworms. I don't know if that'll work totally, but I thought, what the heck, I'm gonna try it, and so that's what I've done. Back here, it's all empty now that my peas are gone, but I will have pole peas going up it on one side. Oops, and I got a great harvest of peas. And I'll have my cucumbers. They're starting to grow. They'll come up the other side. And this is my green stalk. This one, I have lots of medicinal plants in here and herbs. I actually have, this is called a 42-day tomato that I put in here. I don't have any tomatoes on it, but it is growing. I have sorrel. I love this. This is actually a succulent. It's called the Vicks plant. It smells like Vicks salve. So every night I come out here and I smell it to open up my nasal passages. It's fine for now, but it would have to come in over winter inside if you wanted to keep it inside. I have thyme, tarragon, I have parsley, Vietnamese cilantro because it won't bolt, but it gives you the same flavor. I have regular cilantro over here, but it has bolted. And then right here on this side, I'll move Johnny so you can come. This is a micro tomato that John bought, and it has a little tomato on it. And I have like some garlic greens in here, and I started radishes and some carrots. They haven't done as well. These should really be done. I didn't really thin them. That's on me. There is bergamot. And I really like this one being more of an herbal thing. You can just come out. That's got tea. That's garlic. That's a garlic green. You can chop the chive garlics on it. And then those are the elderberries, cuttings, some of them. And this is our blackberry plant that we dug up from Connie, my mother-in-law, Meemaw. We dug from her new Alabama property and put it in here. And it's doing well. Oh, look at the little bumblebee. See, I don't have to hit the toothbrush with that. He's doing it for me. Love it. And this in this pot right here, this is another one of the 42-day tomato. They're for planters. And I have it over here next to my bee balm. I just harvested a lot of bee balm and dried it in my food dehydrator. And it needed it because this cucumber hasn't really seen light, or this tomato. So I'm hoping by cleaning some of this out, and I'll probably come harvest some more. But part of me wants to let some of it flower because it looks really pretty when it flowers. These are two paste tomatoes. This is Italian basil, and then my cucumbers. And then over here, these are more Contender bush beans. We've already had a picking off of here. Matter of fact, we ate them last night. Were they good, John?
Yeah.
Yep, and we're eating leftovers tonight with them. Oh, there's a bunch of them. Matter of fact, I'll probably try to come out tomorrow and get another picking off of here, and I'll probably can those because there's a few over there as well. But like I said, see, look. Can you see all those? These were just tiny the other day. I usually can get 2 to 3 pickings at most off of bush beans, and then you got to take them out and either restart them or plant something else. And in this green stalk, it's a red one, but it's still a green stalk. This is my strawberry one, and it has all my strawberries. These are first-year strawberries, and we've had little snacks off of it. They say typically these are June bearing, or ever bearing, so they should continue to bear throughout the season.
Where'd you get them?
These came from Stark Brothers, and that's also what's in that bed over there. And that bed over there, they're sending out the little shooters.
I thought you got some from Isis.
Not strawberries. We did muscadines and blackberries. I don't think we got any blueberries from them. I think it was just the other two. These have been tremendously healthy plants, but everything I've read about strawberries is your second and third year, you really get a lot of harvest. These are more paste tomatoes and an acorn squash, some more borage. This bed had onions in it, and I did them in the soil. Oh, this is a curry plant. This smells really good after it rains. But this bed has struggled a little bit. But I've started getting some paste tomatoes, which I'm excited about, for making some tomato-based canning projects. These are dwarf tomatoes, but to be quite honest, I don't remember which ones. Some more acorn squash and some eggplant. Eggplant's delicious if you make homemade pizzas. We have our blueberries. We've been picking some blueberries off here. They're really good.
They're pretty good.
Yep. And this is my elderberry. This was a cutting I did. It was a big one, and I thought for sure I killed it when I propagated it, because you really shouldn't have. I should not have kept it this big.
It died a couple times.
It did, but it's so healthy, and I will plant it out on the property probably in the fall or winter. This bed has some pitiful looking tomatoes. Kind of spindly looking. I'm not really sure why, and I honestly, I think they're like a cherry tomato. I don't know why they didn't do as well. This one also has some of the sunflowers that I had in the other beds, and this one looks like it might actually bloom, but look how short. I knew it was dwarf, but I didn't think it was going to be that short. But you can see all these teeny tiny tomatoes on here, and another eggplant. And then this bed back here, my cameraman almost fell. You okay? And this bed back here, I have a few carrots I haven't harvested yet. That is a black cherry, heirloom cherry tomato. So that one is actually indeterminate, and I put it back here in this corner because I had kind of the corner area plus these trellises if I needed to, and I did some cucumbers on the back, and it's kind of taken off back there. I haven't really seen any cucumbers. I have had a lot of squash bugs on that plant, but not necessarily anywhere else, so it's kind of like my sacrificial plant. I leave there. Over here, yep. And then right here, I have two Malabar spinach plants. Actually, this has got 3 plants. This one has 2. And as you can see, it's gonna grow up and give you spinach, and it can tolerate hot heat. So it's a great one to put in your garden this time of year, and you can just harvest the leaves and it'll keep going. I think it gets about 5 feet tall. I also have some purple basil. I have some more Italian basil. And my little bucket over there has some dwarf tomatoes and carrots and more of the catnip mint. And then of course our flowers out here, these are all supposed to be deer resistant flowers, but as you can see, they had topped them, and then John put bird netting over it to kind of keep them out. And then of course we have our blackberries over there, our apple trees, our fig trees, our almond tree, peach trees, apricot trees, my fuyu, which is a persimmon, the plum, and the pears all look really good. And
yeah, this bed, you didn't do this one.
Oh, and this bed has more of the cherry tomatoes in here. It also has some peppers. You can see I've got some, those are sweet banana peppers, and it has the okra back here, and it's actually getting taller. I really thought the okra were going to be taller than that, but when you go to like one of the mom and pop seed and feed stores, they don't always have the best description, so it just said dwarf. And I know how big regular, and I remember I asked her and she's like, I don't really know, but it sounds interesting. And it was what they could get. So we'll see if we get any okra off that. But these are loaded down with tomatoes. And I can't wait till they start turning. And matter of fact, they've kind of overshadowed some of my peppers that I put in here. But that's how it goes. When you're planting everything so small, you think you're gonna have all this room, and then it fills up really quickly. So that is, I guess, all We do have muscadines over here, our second-year muscadines that are outside of the garden fenced area. But this is essentially the end of our late spring, we're almost to summer garden tour. Hopefully when we do another tour, maybe we'll have these pinto beans starting to come up and trellising up on the trellis. And we're hoping, oh, I know what else I didn't share. Over here in this white bag, this is supposed to be turmeric. See, that is not turmeric. But if you can see this right here, this was turmeric. I harvested and chilled it, and I replanted. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's just starting, and it will get huge. I had it last year, so this is a 2-year plant. So I'm excited about that, and I want to do some ginger as well.
I see some muscadines on there.
Yeah, so these are, and I don't remember the 2 varieties, but they're 2 different varieties of muscadines, and this is our 2nd year with them. And deer hate rosemary, so there's that. But that is our garden. I hope you're growing things in your garden. I hope you're having good luck. I know it's really hot across a lot of places right now, but it's better than what we had last year where it just rained and drowned all of our plants. So I'm excited about our harvest, and I hope you will check back with us and see how things continue to grow. If you found value in this or you have any questions, please ask them down below. You can like or subscribe, and also you can share. Happy gardening. Until next time.